Christopher Nolan's next film is called Odyssey, and the trailer could drop any moment now. But what is it really about? From mythic roots to sci-fi frontiers, this might be Nolan's boldest narrative yet. Today, we're going to decode the mystery, trace the themes, and dive into everything we know so far about the Odyssey.
Odysseus was never meant to be a god, just a man, cunning, brilliant, flawed, the king of Ithaca who gave the Greeks their final victory at Troy using a wooden horse and a fatal trick. And when the war ended, the others sailed home, but not Odysseus. Because gods don't like arrogance, especially not Poseidon, god of the sea, and the father of a certain Cyclops. So began a 10-year odyssey, where the greatest threat wasn't war, but time, temptation, and himself. The monsters and the madness. First stop, a land of giants. Odysseus and his men trapped in a cave. Their host, a Cyclops named Polyphemus, who crushed men like grapes. Odysseus blinded the beast with fire and wit, but made the mistake of telling him his name. Polyphemus screamed it to the skies. Poseidon heard. The sea turned against him forever. The island of Circe, a witch who turned his men into pigs. But Odysseus, protected by Hermes, resisted her magic. Circe kept him for a year. Time slipped, desire lingered, but the road home still called. To pass the sirens, whose song could drive a man insane, Odysseus stuffed his crew's ears with wax and tied himself to the mast, so he could hear heaven without drowning in it. A metaphor, maybe, for every artist who wants to touch beauty without being destroyed by it. Between a rock and a hard place, Scylla and Charybdis, one a monster with 6 snapping heads, the other a whirlpool hungry for ships. Odysseus chose Scylla and lost 6 men. Sometimes survival is measured in sacrifice. The gods, the temptations, and the curse. The gods weren't done testing him. His crew slaughtered sacred cattle on the island of the sun god Helios. Punishment was swift, the ship destroyed, Odysseus alone again. He washed ashore on the island of Calypso, a goddess who offered immortality if he stayed. 7 years passed, but Odysseus said no to eternity. He still chose home because Penelope was waiting. The return. When Odysseus finally reached Ithaca, he didn't reveal himself. He returned as a beggar, saw his palace overrun with suitors courting his wife. Then, with his son and a bow only he could string, he made them pay. Penelope, who waited 20 years, who stayed loyal through lies and loneliness, finally embraced her king. But he wasn't the same man. Odysseus had been to hell and back. The war was over. But so was the Odyssey.
So now that we've set the mythological stage, let's shift focus. Not just on what Odyssey is inspired by, but how Nolan might reinvent it through his signature storytelling lens. Nolan is no stranger to myth, nor to the infinite. Just as Kubrick redefined mankind's future in 2001: A Space Odyssey, Nolan could be fusing ancient themes with cutting-edge sci-fi. Think time loops, alternate realities, internal odysseys of fractured characters, navigating emotional and temporal mazes. This isn't just a space journey or a period piece, it could be a hybrid of both, a layered narrative that pulls from myth and quantum logic alike. Now, if you've followed Nolan's work, you know his themes are like gravity, pulling everything back to a few core obsessions. Time distortion, Memento, Inception, Tenet. Isolation and obsession, Interstellar, Oppenheimer. And the fragile line between perception and truth, The Prestige, Inception. In Nolan's world, time isn't just a setting, it's a character. And Odyssey might just be his final word on that idea. Could it be a looping narrative, a broken reality, a story that begins where it ends or ends before it begins? Now let's talk facts. Here's what we know so far. The cast. Matt Damon plays Odysseus, Tom Holland as his son, Telemachus, Charlize Theron is Circe, and Nolan regulars like Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, and Cillian Murphy are all rumored to appear. The crew? Hoyte van Hoytema is back as cinematographer, Ludwig Göransson is scoring. Filming began in Morocco's ancient village of Ait Ben Haddou, then moved to Greece, the Peloponnese, Methone, even the Aeolian Islands. Nolan's also shooting in Scotland, Iceland, and the UK, all entirely on cutting-edge IMAX gear. This will be the first feature film fully shot on the newest IMAX camera system. The budget? Reportedly $250 million. This isn't just a film, it's an event. So what might the story be? Here are 3 plausible theories. Theory 1. A character is lost in time, trapped across parallel timelines, trying to return to a lost family. Think Inception meets Tenet meets the Odyssey itself. Theory 2. A literal space odyssey, but more personal. Not the fate of humanity, but one man's emotional reckoning, told across shifting realities. Theory 3. A story told entirely in reverse, like Memento, but grander. The film unfolds backwards as Odysseus moves forward. Or maybe he's not Odysseus at all, but a construct of memory. Okay, wild theory time. What if Odyssey is Nolan's first dream-based sci-fi horror? Imagine Inception crossed with Greek mythology, where monsters like the Cyclops or Sirens are reimagined as subconscious fears or temporal glitches. Okay, maybe that's a stretch, but with Nolan, you never know. But what do you think? Will Odyssey be Nolan's most emotional film, his weirdest, or both? Drop your best theory in the comments before the trailer drops, and when it does, I'll be back here with a full shot-by-shot breakdown. This is The Cinephile. Subscribe for real cinema analysis.